been restored to full fitness, and the referee speaking there to Paul Delaney and telling everybody else to clear away while he tries to decipher exactly what happened. And it looks like Paul Delaney and Pat Heffernan are going to be booked in the opening 5 minutes of this Munster Championship semi-final. Really, Jimmy, even at this early stage, Munster Championship hurling is about skill.
Yes, indeed. John Moore is dead right to take those players' names. If they've been guilty of wild pulling, they now know they can go do this no further. And it's also interesting that there are mentors down behind the goal there, where they've got no place and they're getting involved in the incidents with the players.
And away we go again. The atmosphere in Semple Stadium, you could cut it with a knife. Very tense. Gary Kirby blocked down. Pat Heffernan, Limerick queuing up as Pat Heffernan solos in, sends it across. Pat Heffernan again, back to Frankie Carroll, trying to get room to swing. Mike Galligan is outside. Carroll with the shot, and Limerick have levelled. Oh yes, Limerick are fired up. There's a man out to prove a point.
Yeah, Limerick need to settle fairly fast. They're a bit hurried in their play, but Frankie Carroll, maybe this is a score they need. They struck over a good point under a bit of pressure, and Limerick need a bit more of that type of play from their forwards. They need to settle down. They're a bit hurried and they seem to be under pressure in what they're doing all the time.
Driving it right across Damien Fitzhenry's goal mouth. Gary Kirby is there. Outside him is Frankie Carroll. This is Carroll. Ah, beautiful point by Frankie Carroll. Gary Spillane, Clare, gets a very fine point. The signs are level. Corey Tobin. Confidence boosted by that point a moment ago, giving it to Frankie Carroll. And despite a lot of pressure from Niall MacDonald, manages to put it over the bar. His second point in this league semi-final. This is good play by Limerick, because they're not panicking, they're taking their points. And Frankie Carroll, despite strenuous pressure, put it over. Frankie Carroll going on the detour route. He made himself a good angle. It was well worth going the long way around. He needs a hurley. He's got 3 points.
Rail trying to make progress. Frankie Carroll trying to keep the ball in play. Very tight pitch this, but a lovely stadium. Pat Heffernan. Well, that's a poor ball. Eventually, however, it reaches Shane Fitzgibbon, who keeps the attack going. And in the end, it's turned over as a fine score. After all of that, by Frankie Carroll. So short passing by the Limerick forwards results in a latest point for them. Brought down by Kieran Carey. Mike Galligan, the substitute for Paudie Tobin. Frankie Carroll with the shot, and it's gone over the bar. Now picking off the points, trying to rally his forwards now. Been offered some water as well by this young lady, and I'm sure that John Chaplin would like some as well. Thirsty business. And in fairness to Frankie Carroll, I think right from the start he has been the one Limerick player who has taken the game to Clare and trying to haul them back into it. Another lovely point from a long way out. Frankie Carroll has it meanwhile for Limerick, looking for a point, and he's tapped it over the bar. Frankie's got 3 points in all, but it's 2 goals and 9 points now for Limerick, 3-14 for Clare. Kieran Carey battling well at midfield. Brian Corkin lets it drop down quickly in there quickly. Frankie Carroll. Carroll is on his way, looking for another point for Limerick, and that goes right between the posts. It's a brilliant score indeed. Frankie Carroll then, inspiring his colleagues, just one between them. Well, Frankie, of course, a brother, younger brother of Mossy and the Bomber, as he was known, Brian. They played some great battles in the past against Cork. We're having quite a battle here at the Limerick Gaelic grounds. Frankie Carroll for a Limerick side, stung. Wanting to make an instant riposte. Frankie Carroll's second point of the day. This is a thrilling match. Frankie was profiting by a good move that saw him get away from his man and strike over the...
Mike Houlihan letting it run on for Frankie Carroll to gather it. Pat Heffernan is looking for it to go to the right. Frankie says no. Frankie Carroll levels the match. That's a very good score by Frankie. Pat Heffernan was available to his left, but Frankie knew what exactly he wanted, and he got it.
Dave Clark now. Into the open spaces towards Frankie Carroll, waited for it to come his way. John Chaplin sold a dummy. Frankie with the chance, and the point. So Limerick lead by 3 points to 2. Limerick today looking for their 17th win in the Munster Championship, but this is their 40th appearance.
Mike Houlihan underneath it. When Mike begins catching slitters like that, you can be well aware that the warning lights are on. He's in form. This is Frankie Carroll. Setting it up. That's a great point by Frankie Carroll. Number 9 a moment ago, Mike Houlihan. Number 10 now, Frankie Carroll, and Limerick lead by 2 points. It all started with Mike Houlihan grasping the sliotar, found Frankie Carroll from way out in the wing. Very good point indeed. So the free by Joe Quaid. What a great match he had against Cork in the opening round of the Munster Championship. Plenty of Limerick players there. Carroll sending it in high. Brendan Printer calls, and it drops straight over the bar. That's 2 points for Frankie Carroll. He now has scored 7 points in the Munster and All-Ireland semi-final. And that's the scoreline, 1-4 to 2 points. Came in quickly pulling on it. Leo O'Connor is there. Falling outside is Frankie Carroll if he can spot him. The pass came a little bit too late. John Paul McKillop in a spot of bother as Frankie Carroll bursts his way through. And he takes his points. And the Antrim defence dithering and dathering with that sliotar when the ball comes in. That's at least 2 scores now that Antrim should have avoided. To give credit to Limerick, it was a terrible pass by Leo O'Connor, and it's from there on it should have been cleared, but Frankie Carroll just nipped in with a considerable amount of ease and took his point. Just here in Croke Park trying to get behind our team. That's a great cut. Right in towards Joe Quaid. Saw it all the way. Down towards Frankie Carroll. Putting away from John Paul McKillop. Frankie sends it straight and through. 4 points for Frankie Carroll, and Limerick stretch their lead. Frankie Carroll certainly has been very dominant at right half forward, and every opportunity seems to have taken. Seamus McKenna, Stephen McKenna rather, Rory. Frankie Carroll. Oh, that's a great effort. That's a wonderful point. 5 points for Frankie Carroll. There's a Limerick man down injured, which is causing concern for Limerick. It seems to be Gary Kirby that's down injured. As you can see there was a collision. He got a hurley on the face by accident off Seamus McMullen. That's a good point. Mike Houlihan giving it to Declan Nash. Frankie Carroll and over the rock. 6 points for Frankie Carroll out of that total of 217 for Limerick. State of depression has been called in the Glens of Antrim. They were really expecting better things. Frankie Carroll, they will forever remember the name Frankie Carroll. In the Glens of Antrim, 7 points for Frankie, all from play.
Here's Sean O'Neill exerting a greater influence now from midfield. Mike Galligan into space. Shawnee McMahon showing no real hint of the shoulder injury that caused him so much trouble in the semi-final. Frankie Carroll gets it back, and that's gone to the left. 5 wides for Limerick, 2 for Clare.
Do you know the worrying thing about this, Jerry, is there's 22 minutes gone and Limerick have the breeze and they've only 4 points up on the board.
How strong a wind do you think it is?
It's extremely strong because it's blown directly down the field. But I think teams can play better against the breeze than with it.
PJ O'Connell missing his shot. One-handed forward by Turlough Herbert. Mike Gallagher now. Knocked forward towards TJ Ryan. And Frankie Carroll has it. Frankie leading the charge of the Light Brigade. The shot, and it's over the bar. Everyone in the Limerick half-forward line has now scored. And Frankie Carroll extends Limerick's lead. It's only 5 points to 2, and there's a long way to go yet.
There's the ball. Frankie gets it now. He seems to go off at half speed, and there are two Clare men on him. And he pucks the ball. Beautiful score, but I would have thought that Clare should have hooked him.
There's Mike Gallagher. We'll look for another point here, Limerick. They've really fought back wonderfully in the second half. Full credit to them for that. Frankie Carroll. And a point from Frankie Carroll means it's back to 1 point difference again. So just one between them. There's still a bit of time. Tip players looking at the referee. Frankie Carroll. One last chance perhaps for Limerick. TJ Ryan, who was their star in the second half. George Friend this time back, having possession. No point in fouling him. Declan Ryan. A huge one. Up into the breeze. Caught by Nicky English. Nicky. Blocked down well by Mike Nash. Very good play by Nash. They were in a crisis, they still are. But he responded superbly. This was wonderful play there because Nicky English was really ready to put the 2 points between the teams. Instead it's downfield. Who gets it? It's Mike Gallagher. Stopped by 3 or 4 Tipperary players. Out it comes. Foley, out as far as Frankie Carroll, one sub to another. Can Frankie with a hero here? He can! He's put it over the bar! And Limerick fans salute that point by Frankie Carroll. His second point of the second half ties it up. There can hardly be much more left on this. We thought Limerick v Clare might end in a draw. How much more is Joe Leary going to play? Will it be a replay next week? Frankie Carroll puts it over the bar. And we are well and truly into injury time.
Took with this slight lead. Mark Foley back in again. Towards O'Neill. Great catch this time against Michael Ryan. The hand pass. Frankie Carroll has it, looking for the equalizer, and he's put it over the bar. Great point by Frankie Carroll, but it was made for him by a wonderful piece of skill by Eoin O'Neill. It was a terrific catch getting up there ahead of Michael Ryan, and it's 2 points each. And this is where it was made by Eoin O'Neill. Back to Frankie Carroll. Beat the attempted block there of Rémi Ryan. On the sides. Gary Kirby to take this free. It's just inside his own 65-metre line. Light breeze against him. Will he opt to lob this one in? He's giving it everything. Right inside, it's a goal! Frankie Carroll got the stick to it, and Limerick have a second goal just a minute and a half before half-time. The sides are level for the 4th time. It's 2-3 for Limerick, 9 points for Tipperary.
Yes, sure, we see the ball coming into the square again. Just a flick overhead by Frankie Carroll, and a tremendous finish.
It's a blinding sun. Gary Kirby, who once wore a helmet, but he experienced here in Croke Park that he couldn't see the ball dropping down and never worn it since. He gave the ball to Frankie Carroll. And that is a very good score. A very quick response by the Munster champions. And Limerick go back in front.
Already it looks as if the Limerick forwards have the edge and pace over the Antrim backs, and there Frankie Carroll racing through for an over the bar.
So Quaid, I think, just checking there that he was going to lift it and not do what Gary did a moment ago. And again, it's Sambo McNaughton that is in the thick of it. It comes back out, however, to Frankie Carroll. And Frankie sends it over the bar. This is a good spell for Limerick. And it comes at a very opportune time. Just 4 minutes left to that half-time whistle. And definitely for the first time, Limerick lead by 5. Meanwhile, it's Frankie Carroll with the sideline cut. Brendan Printer comes out. Ball is loose. The referee has signalled. The umpire has raised his green flag. That is a goal for Limerick. Antrim players, including the Lantern manager, is coming in to protest. Down on the deck is Owen Colgan, but Dominic McKinlay is quite enraged. And the umpire signalled a green flag immediately, and the referee acknowledged it.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see this again. A high ball, the goalie missed it, cornerback missed it, and he stepped over the line with the ball. I think that's the reason why it was a goal. It wasn't the Limerick man in the square. It seemed that Eamonn McCluskey grabbed the ball but stepped over the line, and that would be a goal for Limerick.
Well,
here it is again now. Goalie goes up, misses the ball. I think Eamonn McCluskey comes in behind, catches it. Here he's in. Yeah, his hand went over the line, I would say, even though Sean McElhatton is now way there, and see, I think he definitely stepped over the line with the ball.
Adrian Fenlon. Nicely down there towards Eamonn Scanlon. First touch was poor. Stephen McDonough towards Frankie Carroll. Frankie does well. Keeps it away from Larry O'Gorman. There's his shot, and Limerick are in front for the first time in the match. Well, that's what they need, a huge return from Frankie.
Yeah, it's a great score by Frankie, but Eamonn Scanlon at the other end will be very disappointed with his first touch, and Steve McDonough cleared up the ball up the feet to Frankie Carroll. Here we see it coming up again, and great play by Frankie. Picks the ball down very low to the ground and just turns and swings and hits it over the bar. Great score, and that's going to do his confidence a world of good.